26th for continuation. Ibrahim Jata, GRTS.
Still on legal matters, the Special Criminal Court has acquitted mother suspect Rame Trawale, who was charged for killing a Sanyang native Ahmed Fall Haidara in 2009. The Special Court, as Ibrahim Jata reports, delivered the verdict after ruling that prosecution failed to prove the charge of murder beyond reasonable doubts.
Arraigned Rame Trawale in 2009 at the Special Criminal Court on charges of murder. Trawale is said to have caused the death of Sanyang native Ahmed Fall Haidara by severing his head from his body with a cutlass. Prosecutors had called 12 witnesses and tendered an assortment of evidence in the form of a cutlass, 2 bloodstained trousers, a red cap, pair of shoes, and photographs of the decapitated deceased during the trial. They also tendered medical certificates and post-mortem reports, including cautionary and voluntary statements. The defense, which did not call any witness, had, however, argued that the accused deserves an acquittal as there was no eyewitness to the alleged crime. But prosecution, who had to settle for oral evidence in the absence of an eyewitness, contended that a crime can be proved by either direct or circumstantial evidence. What then is the evidence of circumstance that leaves no doubt as to the commission of the alleged crime was the question asked by the presiding judge, Joseph N.W. Ikpala, in his final analysis. The presiding judge dissected the evidence led by the prosecution witnesses, relating how police were able to follow the trace of blood at the scene of crime to a compound where the accused resides. This, according to Ikpala, was where several material exhibits like the cutlass and blood-stained trousers were discovered. The accused had, however, rebuffed this allegation by prosecution. In the closing moments after examining the reports of blood analysis found on the exhibits, Justice Ikpala revealed that prosecution had failed to prove the charge of murder beyond reasonable doubt and as such acquitted the accused person. The State Counsel, who represented prosecution, subsequently rose to move a notice of appeal against the acquittal of Rame Trawale under Section 285E of the Criminal Procedure Code. She also asked the Special Court to detain the acquitted person pending the appeal. H. Azama, the counsel for the acquitted person, responded that bail is at the discretion of the court. He asked the Special Criminal Court to exercise this power in favor of his client and urged the presiding judge to consider Section 285B, subsection 2 of the Criminal Code, which allows bail pending formal appeal. Justice Joseph N.W. Ikpala subsequently granted bail to the acquitted Rame Trawale in the sum of $2 million and a surety who must deposit a title deed. He also asked the acquitted person to register his presence on a daily basis to the Special Criminal Court. Ibrahim Jata, GRTS.
Or you can follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS radio live. Well, time now to take our first break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the international news. Stay tuned.
Insurance Company comes as a savior. At IGI Gamstar Insurance Company, we insure against accidents like vehicles, aviation, marine, fire outbreaks, and traffic loss and damage. IGI Gamstar, we give clients suffering generally. For further information, visit Gamstar Insurance Company IGI Gamstar Insurance Company, the nation's insurer of choice.
Welcome back. Severe famine and drought in East Africa has forced the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization to hold an emergency meeting in Rome today. The world leaders are meeting to raise an estimated 300 million euros for the more than 11 million East Africans affected by famine and drought. But delivering aid to the affected regions, as we hear in this report, is being hampered by frequent attacks on aid workers by Al-Shabaab Islamist group.
The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization held emergency talks on Monday over famine in the Horn of Africa brought on by severe drought. FAO Director General Jacques Diouf said urgent aid is needed to save over 11 million people from starvation.
We have invited you today to take part in this emergency meeting so that we may take immediate measures to stop one of the world's most serious humanitarian disasters.
The FAO estimates that 300 million euros will be necessary in the next 2 months and over $1 billion in the course of the next year. For now, the UN has only received half of what is necessary to avoid a humanitarian disaster. The FAO says the international community must act now.
The combined effects of drought, inflation, and conflicts have created a disastrous situation.
The UN has declared famine in 2 areas of Somalia, but the Islamist Al-Shabaab that controls parts of the country has banned many foreign aid agencies.
Al-Shabaab's blockade of humanitarian and aid agencies' access to the needy, vast majority of them in the insurgent-held areas, may starve to death.
The current drought affecting the Horn of Africa is the worst in 60 years. A donor conference is scheduled for Wednesday in Nairobi.
As Norway observed 1 minute silence to honor those killed in its worst peacetime atrocity allegedly committed by a 32-year-old man, investigators were looking at what prompted the suspect Anders Breivik to commit mass murder. This report also takes a closer look at a 1,500-page manifesto purportedly written by the suspect.
This is how the man accused of being Norway's most notorious mass killer apparently wants the world to know him. A smiling Norwegian nationalist, a serious military-style marksman. Not just the cold-blooded killer, police say stalked and gunned down innocent young victims on a remote rocky island. Anders Breivik is believed to have posted these images to YouTube in a 12-minute video embedded in a 1,500-page manifesto just hours before he began his deadly killing spree with a massive car bombing outside government offices. CNN cannot independently verify their authenticity. Together, the video and manifesto appear to answer how and why the 32-year-old became a mass murderer. The video reveals an intense fear that Muslims will dominate Europe, an anger at what the author calls Marxist European governments he blames for doing nothing, and a belief that a Christian crusade is the solution. A belief he hid when he met this mainstream right-wing politician 8 years ago.
I am actually sorry because he didn't, because if he had said something like that, maybe we could have discovered it.
Kalmir suspects Breivik was attracted to his party's anti-immigration reputation, but found them too moderate.
I probably thought that he would find people inside our Progress Party that will be agree with him or something like that, and he wrote in his manifesto he was disappointed.
The manifesto, titled 2083, a European Declaration of Independence, rails against such political inaction. My government and our media capitulated to Islam several years ago. Thousands of Muslims pouring in annually through our asylum institution or by family reunification. The situation is just chaotic. These suicidal traitors must be stopped. The author turns his temper on his family, on friends, cruelly discussing sexual diseases he claims they've had, cataloguing their failings. He also reveals why he rented a farm outside Oslo to plot undetected, a mission he describes in graphic detail. I have just completed the explosives research phase and have summarized several new chapters for the compendium. My rifle application came through, and I have now ordered an €800 silencer specifically created for automatic and semi-automatic rifles. Needless to say, this is an extremely vulnerable phase. In fact,